Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get started. I'd like to welcome you to this important side event on the road to Doha from the High-Level Political Forum 2025 to the Second World Summit for Social Development. And many thanks to the State of Qatar, the Qatar Development Fund, UNDESA, and the World Health Organization for bringing us together today. We're going to have some opening remarks from the Director General of the Qatar Fund for Development, Mr. Fahad Sulaiti. And after that, we will have a couple of keynote speakers and then move into a panel. So I think that the president of ECOSOC is finishing a press conference and will be here. We will see when he gets here, and he will speak when he's able. But if I may, Mr. Director General, to turn it over to you to get us started.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to see the room is too packed today, so this is a good signal for us to start this important event. It's a pleasure and honors to be here with you today on this side event, which is mark a bridge between the High Political Forum and the upcoming Second World Summit for the Social Development that we hosted in Qatar in November this year. As we reflected our collective progress and the gaps that remained on our path for 2030 agenda, we are reminded that sustainable development is not just about economic growth or infrastructure. It's about people, it's about dignity, opportunity, and inclusion for every individual. This side event focus on integration of health, decade works, and partnership of inclusive development, SDG 3, 8, and 17, are deeply unconnected. Unless we invest with them together, we are risking and refocusing on the existing inequality rather than overcoming them. At Qatar Fund for Development, we see this is every day, whether supporting health system in the difficult context, or enabling youth empowerment, or building partnership to advance local-driven solutions. Our experience shows that integration across multi-sector approach is critical to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Between 2022 and 2023, Qatar Fund for Development have committed over $3.4 billion for correspondence and responding to the issue of humanitarian and development for over 100 countries, with a strong focus on health, education, job orientation, and economic empowerment. These investments were guided by principle we hold on people affected by conflict, poverty, and must see not only as beneficiary, but always as an active agent of change. As we're looking ahead to the summit in Doha, our ambitions to build on the progress made and contribution to shape the action-oriented, inclusive for government development agenda. The State of Qatar is committed to create a platform that bring together driven voices and partnership, placing people, equity, and social justice at the heart of these priorities. We envision the summit that will bring together leader, youth, civil societies, and private sector, not just an exchange ideas, but always agreed on a clear outcome and commitment that we'll be making together. The summit will also showcase of the voices of these most affected inequality people in the world, especially women, youth, persons with disabilities, and disabled communities. Let us today get from our discussions of this important side event to build the moment for the outcome of the summit that will be built and coming up in Doha, and looking forward to seeing you soon there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Director General. We're now fortunate to have Mr. Bob Ray, the president of ECOSOC, joining us. He's been a very strong voice on social development, and looking forward to what he's going to guide us to think about and do today.
Well, thank you very much. Let me first of all say that it's a real honor to be with all of you today, and I particularly want to thank the government of Qatar for the great leadership that you have shown, and your ambassador is a brilliant participant in all of our discussions and a great leader for us, and we really appreciate the leadership that you are showing at such a difficult and challenging time in the life of the world, and we appreciate it a great deal. I just wanted to say a couple of things by way of trying to provide the link, if you like, between where we have been and where we're going, and I won't take very long, but I think there's a few critical things that we need to recognize. The first one is that when we all think about what's the way forward, what's the path, I always remind people that it's about creating prosperity. That when we look at the successful development processes that we've seen around the world, they have helped to transform the prosperity and the social quality of life in their countries. And I say in their countries because sometimes I also think we overlook the fact that the development of successful policies is a national enterprise. It's a national enterprise that international institutions should try and support. But international institutions can't do these things on their own. It has to come from within countries and, frankly, within businesses who are the creators of most of the jobs that are created in the world. And that, I think, has to continue to be our focus. The question then becomes, well, what kind of work? What's the work? What are the jobs that are being created? Are they good jobs? Are they well-paying jobs? Are they jobs that allow families to be sustained? And we need to understand that in our economic systems, work is not just a commodity. We like to think that these things are all just economic factors in an equation, but actually work is a reflection of a very important part of the human personality. The sense of success, the sense of achievement we get from doing good work. Somebody says good work, you feel good because you've done something well, you've produced something that's good. And so these things are really critical, and it means that labor standards, labor rights, looking at how we approach that, we deal with the challenge of precarious work, the work that doesn't provide great security, that is hard to get and hard to hold on to. These are features of the relationship between the economy and society that are so critically important. And we also need to deal with the fact that so much of what the work that people do is sometimes undervalued in their societies. It's not given the recognition that it deserves. So I think when we look at the policies that we're going to need to come to grips with this, it has to do with lifelong learning. It has to do with appreciating that our jobs are going to change. I mean, in my own career, I don't think I've held any job for more than 5 or 6 years. That's a product of the fact that I chose a very precarious life as a political leader to make much of my living. But seriously, I think we have to understand that the pattern where you would join the labor market when you were 18 and you would leave when you were 65 and you would only have worked in one job that would have a secure pension and a secure situation, that's not the pattern of the present, and it will not likely be the pattern of the future. It will be one in which people are forced to change in the workforce, and in which, therefore, the importance of education and the importance of lifelong education is critically appreciated. I think the last couple of things I want to say is just had a very powerful meeting this morning, chairing the meeting on equality, and I think that it is critically important that we recognize that the equality between women and men and treating all members of the community with dignity and with a sense of their equal right to participate and to be engaged has been a critical transformation that we cannot allow to slow down and to stop. And we need to understand that there are still some people who are uncomfortable with that world, and therefore they will fight to stop it from happening. But as I've just said this morning, in my view, the equality, while we say that all the SDGs are equal, there's one that's actually, I think, a little more than equal. Why is that? And it is the gender equality provision. Why do I say that? Not to cater favor from one part of the audience or another, but because I actually believe that, scientifically speaking, the best way to improve the condition of an economy is to improve the condition of women. And once that starts to happen, a whole lot of other things happen. And I think so the next thing I want to just say is that we've just come, I just was in Spain 2 weeks ago for the Seville conference. And there is an interesting linguistic challenge that we face, because the document that came from Seville is called Compromiso de Sevilla. And people say, well, why are we celebrating a compromise? And I said, well, actually, compromiso in Spanish means commitment, engagement in French. So we need to understand, we're not off the hook because we say it's a compromise. We can all live with the compromise. No, it's a commitment. And who's making the commitment? The commitment is being made by the member states who have agreed to it. And the member states have agreed to get on with financing for development, to get on with broadening the level of support from the entire UN system and from the entire economic system and the private sector for the work of equality. That this is the work that needs to go on, this is the work that needs to happen. There is enough money in the world to deal with this and to finance it properly. It's just a matter of harnessing that. And so I really think it's important for us to understand that the road from Sevilla to Doha is not so far as we might think. It's a short time. It's a short space, but and people need to understand, the one thing I've learned about the UN is that we need these events and we need these benchmarks. And people say, well, why do you keep having these different events and places and declaration from this place, declaration from that? I said, because we need, if we don't keep pushing, if we don't keep moving in that direction, we will not take it seriously enough. And there are ways in which we have to do it. So we all look forward to the Doha meeting, and we attach an enormous amount of importance to it. And I'm very proud of having been able this last year to be the president of the Economic and Social Council. Economy and society go together. Business and labor go together. Women and men go together. Children and adults go together. We go together intergenerationally, culturally, linguistically, in every way. We work in solidarity with one another to create stronger economies, better societies, and a better world. And that's what we're trying to do. And we look forward to working with you on the Doha conference and with my colleagues who are the co-facilitators of this great process. Thank you so much. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. President, for succinctly summarizing the things that we need to be thinking about and trying to push us, inspire us to move forward. Where our second keynote speaker is Mr. Liu Junhua, the Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs. I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Paul. I don't know whether I could offer you the keynote speech, but I just shared a few thoughts. Let me begin by thanking the government of Qatar for organizing this important event. High-level political forum for this year has a crucial role in tracking SDG progress and championing an integrated, holistic approach to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. The call for the integrated approaches lies at the heart of the Copenhagen Declaration and on the social development. At the 1995 summit, the world leaders recognized economic, social, and environmental development as interdependent and mutually reinforcing, calling for a holistic, people-centered approach. As we prepared for the Second World Summit for Social Development, we must not only revive this vision, but more importantly, act upon it. Just 5 years left to achieve the SDGs, we are not meeting our goals. On health, not a single target is on a track for 2030. Access to essential health services remained profoundly unequal. Gender inequalities remained a global concern. Discriminatory laws and economic disparities persisted despite some progress. Similarly, progress on decent work has been disappointing. Over 2 billion workers worldwide are trapped in informal employment, and economic growth alone has failed to deliver the quality jobs or foster inclusion. So to reverse this trend, food and productive employment and decent work must be the central macroeconomic priorities and objectives. The ongoing digital and the green transitions must be managed to be inclusive and just for all. Dear colleagues, robust social policies encompassing the social protection, education, health, food, housing, and digital access remained essential. We must commit to safeguarding them, especially during the crisis when they are most needed. But social goals cannot be realized through the social policy in isolation. We must forge the greater coherence between the economic and the social policies. The upcoming Second World Summit for Social Development presents a historical opportunity to align the economic framework with the social objectives. This is paramount to harnessing the synergies across the SDGs. It means elevating food employment, decent jobs, and the reduction of the inequality from the afterthoughts to the core macroeconomic priorities. Earlier this month, as the president of the ECOSOC mentioned it, at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, member states pledged to close the financing gaps and mobilize the high-impact initiatives. The social summit can help ensure that these commitments deliver the social outcomes, advancing equity, resilience, and trust. So let us seize this moment to recommit to equality, solidarity, and social justice, not just as abstract values, but as actionable strategies for building peace and resilience. Thank you.
Thanks very much to the opening speakers. We're now going to see a short video from the Qatar Development Fund. Thank you very much. We're now moving on to the high-level panel portion of the event. And just a little bit, I think, in a way, summarizing some of the things that we've heard from the opening speakers, given the current challenges and uncertainties facing the global agenda and global institutions, it's more important than ever to be persistent, adaptable, and innovative in promoting the SDGs. Some aspects of social development and the institutions and actors that support it seem to be particularly challenged, and there is a pressing need to keep on top of and respond to developments in this area. So we know that the HLPF is undertaking in-depth reviews of the SDGs, and in particular, the issues to be addressed here today are going to be focused on SDG 3, health and well-being, 8, decent work and economic growth, and 17, partnerships for the goals. And they're of particular interest for this gathering because of the critical need to understand and strengthen the linkages among health, employment, and partnership in advancing inclusive and sustainable development. So our specific purpose is to explore how the reviews being conducted at the high-level political forum can help to shape the mission and substance of the upcoming Second World Summit for Social Development to be held in Doha in November. And with that, I'd like to announce that our panelists today are Her Excellency Mrs. Sanigram Lassonen, the Minister of Social Security, Head of Delegation, Finland, and we will get perspectives from each of the speakers, and then there will be an opportunity for other people to make short statements later. So if I may turn it over.
Thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, Qatar for organizing this side event, as well as hosting the upcoming summit in November. We're very much looking forward to that. The Social Summit marks a significant milestone in affirming global commitments to social development and their implementation, as well as accelerating progress towards the achievement of the Agenda 2030 targets. I come from Finland, as mentioned, and Finland is a Nordic welfare state. The happiest country in the world has been ranked to be that for 8 times now. So, and I see that I'm also Minister of Gender Equality, and I see that it's the key element. There are 2 key elements that I'd mention. It's the education, and then gender equality. Finland was the first country in the world to give women full political rights already in 1906. And after that, we've built our country and our society based on gender equality and equal opportunities. And social protection, healthcare, education, and gender equality are cornerstones of the Finnish trust-based society. And equal access to free education promotes social mobility, participation, cohesion, and inclusion. And gender equality in the working life is supported by services and benefits, including equal child benefits, affordable childcare, free school meals, and universal health care. So, and one element that I also would like to mention is the high level of trust. So Finnish people, they trust each other, but also have a strong confidence in institutions and different stakeholders in our society. So it's quite low hierarchies, and also quite easy to build the country together. Well-being and sustainable economy, they are 2 sides of the same coin, so to say. I see that investments in education, social protection, health, and equality are not just social policies, they are drivers of inclusive and sustainable economic growth. And we believe that healthy, secure, and educated population is the foundation of productivity, innovation, and long-term prosperity. And now, as we take our steps towards Doha, I'd see that the outcome document of the World Social Summit for Social Development should serve as a roadmap for future progress. And countries can also learn from each other's experiences. There are multiple models of success in advancing social development. Well-being is essential for societal stability and long-term resilience, and investment in people through education, healthcare, and social protection supports both inclusion and economic strength. I also very much liked what Mr. President said about lifelong learning and the working life, how to, like, it's working and jobs should also give people the purpose and also the meaningful experiences, or being a meaningful member of societies. And just to be short, I just want to say that we're very much looking forward to the summit, and we hope that the summit would send a clear message of solidarity, responsibility, and action for future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is from Indonesia, Dr. Pungkas Bajuri Ali, Senior Advisor to the Minister on Social Welfare and Poverty Reduction at the Ministry of National Development Planning in the Republic of Indonesia. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Indonesia welcomes this timely and essential discussion hosted by the government of Qatar. As we look toward the second World Social Summit, we reaffirm our strong commitment to inclusive and right-based development, built upon four interlinked pillars: health, gender equity, decent works, and strong partnerships. On health, Indonesia has embarked on transformative reforms, especially on the promotive and preventive care, digital health integrations, and universal access through our national health insurance, which is now covering more than 260 million people, or about 99% of the populations. Maternal child health, disease control, and climate resilient systems remain our key priorities. On gender equality, we focus on the increasing women's leaderships, providing survivor-centered integrated protection services. Grassroots movements and civil society organizations play a critical roles in reaching marginalized communities and driving transformative change from the ground up. On the decent work, Indonesia employment progress have generated millions of jobs while investing in upskilling and reskilling initiative tailored to demands of the digital and green economy. The pre-employment card program has supported over 17 million individuals, especially youth and informal workers, in improving their competitiveness in the evolving labor market. Social protections coverage continues to expand, ensuring no one is left behind, with a focus on rural and outermost regions. On the partnerships, Indonesia promotes inclusive, multi-stakeholder collaborations through platforms such as SDGs coordination platforms, voluntary local reviews, and SDGs financing hub, while advancing South-South and triangular cooperations to accelerate global progress. At this stage, Indonesia integrated experience offer three key lessons. One, inclusive policy design seen in the national health insurance and promotive preventive health services enable universal access. Two, aligning social protections with job creations such as pre-employment card supports decent work. And three, multiple stakeholder partnerships, including South-South cooperations, people-centered delivery. It is important that for us that the growth must be accompanied by equity And this has been stated by our recent medium-term developments, 2024-2029, with focus on 3 agenda. This one is sustainable economic growth, poverty alleviations, and improving human capital. We recognize that despite these achievements, there are challenges, and the challenges are enormous, such as inadequate nutrition, epidemiological and demographic transitions, unskilled workforce, and vulnerability to geopolitical and economic shocks. Looking ahead to World Social Summit Development 2, Indonesia expects tangible outcomes. First, improve access to primary health care, including access to affordable vaccines, medicines, and technology through global R&D partnerships. 2, stronger international support for quality employment, especially through transitions toward formal employments, and as well as tapping emerging areas such as green and creative economy. And 3, enhance social resilience to climate and economic and other shocks. Our experience shows that during COVID-19 pandemic, this shocks has reversed our social achievement. So Indonesia believes that social development must be reaffirmed as the foundations of 2030 agenda, anchoring dignity, inclusions, and long-term resilience, and strengthening efforts for poverty reductions, foster employment and decent works, and social integrations. Indonesia stands ready to share lessons, amplify solidarity, and mobilize joint actions in pursuit of the 2030 agenda and social development agenda and beyond. Let us work together to place people, dignity, and social justice at the heart of development. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We have a couple more speakers from countries, and the next one is the permanent representative of the Kingdom of Morocco to the UN and a co-facilitator of the upcoming program, the second World Summit for Social Development. And I'd like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Omar Hilali, to share his thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Excellencies, dear Director General of Qatar Fund for Development, dear USG lead, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to thank the State of Qatar and all the organizers for convening such timely and important gathering. This meeting comes at a pivotal moment as we are in the midst of rich and intense preparatory process for the World Summit on Social Development. The Kingdom of Morocco and the Kingdom of Belgium are joining efforts in contributing to the success and distinction of the summit. In this spirit, I have the honor to serve as co-facilitator of the intergovernmental process alongside my esteemed colleague Ambassador De Smit, permanent representative of Belgium. Together, we have committed since the beginning to advance an inclusive, constructive, and transparent process that leads to strong, action-oriented, and consensual outcome in Doha. Dear colleagues, we are currently in the middle of a very important and critical phase of our work, right at the heart of the ongoing intergovernmental negotiations of the political declaration of the summit. As we speak now, we are finalizing revision 2, Rev 2, of the text, which we intend to circulate before close business today. This version will reflect the outcomes of extensive deliberations and the various and numerous inputs of delegations over the past weeks. Since the circulation of zero draft, we have convened 13 informal consultations, each lasting more than 3 hours, amount to a total of 39 hours of collective and effective discussions. These sessions have been instrumental in shaping the evolving draft and have clearly demonstrated strong engagement and deep commitment and historical deliberation on social development 30 years after the Copenhagen Summit. We have truly come a long way, starting from the initial food for thought paper, moving through the zero draft, and now arriving at the second revision of the political declaration. This process has not been easy. It is a complex task that requires balance, patience, listening, and continuous dialogue. Ambassador De Smet and I remain fully committed to making every effort to deliver concise, consensual, and action-oriented text that is both readable and fit for purpose. That remains our guiding objective. We often think we still have time, and just as the chair of the ECOSOC just said rightly, the reality is that time is moving, running quickly. Doha is tomorrow. The coming weeks will be absolutely critical to our work as we aim to submit a final version of the political declaration for silence procedures during the last week of July. Your continued engagement is more important than ever. It is through this collective commitment that we can reach timely and successful conclusion one that will effectively support the preparation for the summit to be held this November in Doha, inshallah, and to make of it a very successful summit. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think we're seeing coming up in these discussions reinforcements of many of the issues that came up from the initial speakers. The idea that it's not just about economic development, which a lot of development people think, that social development is important. And in fact, I think that you highlighted for us that social development is not just for welfare, it's for economic development. And it underlies that. The role of women and gender equality that is perhaps in some circles in global politics now facing some pushback. And one of the other things that I heard in a few of the comments so far is the importance of inclusive policy design and partnerships in making things happen. That's how you get commitment, how you get people to work together. So we have a few more comments to come in before we can open the floor. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Sergio Colina Marin, the Director General for Sustainable Development Policies in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Spain. Sir, the floor is yours.
Much for the space. Thanks to the organizers and to convene everyone to continue discussing in the way to Doha. I really agree with the president of the ECOSOC that it's really important to continue strengthening these spaces, such as this high-level political forum or the Second World Summit for Social Development. And we think that we must see them as a strategic continuum, not just isolated forums of discussion, but really a roadmap where together with the recent FFD4 conference in Sevilla, but also Mondiacult, we will also take place in Spain, in Barcelona, and takes into account culture globally, or the COP in Belém. We have a very, I think, meaningful roadmap from the HLPF to Doha to try to have this integrated vision, this joint vision on how to push globally for a sound social agenda that fosters inclusion and cohesion and human rights, as well as environmental sustainability for all. We have this integrated vision of not working in silos around SDGs, both in our internal policies. We have a sustainable development strategy as a whole of government plan to advance the SDGs, but also in our international cooperation with other stakeholders, and that's the approach that we try to bring also with partners to these spaces. We think also it's important to have on board all levels of government, including regional and local governments, civil society, trade unions, private sector, and the academia. And I think that's the kind of needed alliances for sustainable development and social development that we need and that are at the core of the SDG 17's mandate. Then there has been mentions of the importance of some of the SDGs around the social development agenda. I would like to focus also on a couple of them. First of all, SDG 3. We think that it's one of the spaces that it's most vulnerable in the current situation in the multilateral context. So that's why we think it's a really core issue to take into account for social development. We have launched recently a new global health strategy precisely to try to contribute to promoting strong, universal, equitable, resilient health systems internationally. And also at the Sevilla conference, we also put the focus there, and we announced a special focus on renewing global health support as an essential effort of the international community. But I agree with other panelists of also the core importance of SDG 5. For us, it's both a specific thematic area of work, but also a cross-cutting principle that has to really be at the core of everything that we do if we really want to have transformative impacts. And that's why also at the Sevilla conference, at FFD4, together with UN Women and many other international organizations and countries and IFIs, we proposed a specific initiative on a gender-based approach to financing for development, proposing to move forward into integrating gender equality in budgeting at all levels, prioritizing adequate financing for those sectors in public policy that have the greatest impact on the achievement of gender equality, reforming fiscal systems to make them more equitable, and improving transparency and accountability through sounder, sex disaggregated data. But again, then we have SDG 8. I think it's clear to everyone that decent work for all, inclusive economic models that generate social cohesion are essential for fair and equitable development, and I would add universal social protection schemes. So that's why we also supported an initiative in the framework of the Sevilla conference, together with ILO and other stakeholders, to strengthen commitment and support through international cooperation for policies aimed at increasing the coverage levels of social protection systems by 2% each year. So those were a little bit the axes that I wanted to stress, but also I wanted to mention before concluding that at the intersection of SDG 3, 5, and 8, and others, of course, but these three mainly, we have the essential role of care economies. The Sevilla commitment also includes a clear collective push for public policies that put care at the center, and now we have also the collective task to implement, so I think that's another important element on the way forward. So I really believe that the outcome of the review of these three SDGs and the lessons learned during this HLPF will be fundamental to nurture and drive the debates and decisions of the Second World Summit for Social Development. But I really it's also important to have these spaces for reminding us of the importance of continue working together to building multi-stakeholder alliances to ensure really inclusive and impactful outcomes. And as the FFD agenda also stressed, the political will and the technical spaces to mobilize resources and capacities that we need to make these political objectives, joint agendas, a reality. So I think that would be a little bit my initial ideas on the road from Sevilla to Doha through this important HLPF. So thank you for the occasion.
Thank you very much. If I may, I just want to highlight something that I think was in some of the other inputs, but that you were more explicit about. And I do think it's something that we don't pay enough attention to, not working in silos. There's a tendency to work in silos institutionally among different groups and on particular substantive topics and points of action. And you raised the importance of not just national governments, but local governments, civil society, the private sector. All of these actors have to work together, and I think this is something that can really underscore the efficacy of efforts. So we have one more country speaker, Ms. Shada Al-Hashimi, the advisor Government Experience Exchange Office in the Ministry of Cabinet Affairs in the United Arab Emirates. Please.
Excellency, Director General, thank you for inviting us to be part of this panel. UAE SDG Secretariat really believes in the interlinkages of the SDGs, which you referred to, and also the President of the ECOSOC as well, and my fellow panelists. So we believe in that as well. Just before I start diving into talking about the social aspects and also the examples that we have, I wanted to share the experience of the UAE from the UAE General Secretariat of the SDG, where we work with committee members on advancing the implementations of the SDG within the federal entities as well. And we work closely with a lot of international organizations to transfer the technical capabilities and build capabilities with the technical experts locally so we can better reflect on these advancements of the SDG. I'm sure it's a challenging job for everyone who's doing that on day-to-day basis and also going through the indicators as well. But I think the lesson learned from these experiences are far more impactful. In the UAE, a crucial aspect of our philosophy has been that social development must be a whole of society approach where all are included. Our country has seen great economic progress, but also recent efforts have especially sought to assist those in society who can all too often be marginalized, such as women, the elderly, youth, and those with disabilities. Our Ministry of Community Development was recently reformed as the Ministry of Empowerment, with the mission of elevating our support for social development for those key groups who have so much to offer society. We also are very proud of the UAE's strong and still growing representation of women in leadership positions and our strong levels of accessibility for those who's with disabilities. Our youth inclusion in the UAE has long believed that the key role for youth in society development, with our dedicated Federal Youth Authority leading several initiatives in this field. We are also home to the Arab Youth Center, which supports youth social development across the Arab region. We greatly look forward to seeing how the World Summit for Social Development can explore further empowerment of these demographics and share these lessons learned in the Arab region and internationally. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have two inputs from international organizations. Ms. Cynthia Samuel Olonjuwan, Special Representative to the UN and Director ILO. Please, ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Moderator, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by thanking the government of Qatar, not just for organizing this side event. I totally agree with everything that the ECOSOC president said about the permanent representative of Qatar here. But we're really pleased with the inclusive and very strategic leadership as we move towards Doha for the Second World Summit. I would also totally agree with one of the points that was made by the DG from Spain, that it's a continuum. It's not siloed. And so I want to make reference to an event that we organized, Qatar Spain, UNDESA, and the ILO on Seville to Doha. And one of the key conclusions from that conversation is that advancing social development, particularly through decent work and social justice, is not only morally compelling, but also fiscally and institutionally urgent. And it's important that that is carried from Seville through HLPF as we move to Doha. I also totally agree with everything that the USG Lee said in terms of the centrality of full and productive employment and decent work for sustainability and inclusiveness of development. And this is also linked to a very important point that the Secretary General made in his progress report of the SDGs to the 2025 HLPF. And what did he say? He indicated that there are 6 transitions that have been agreed upon, and that these 6 transitions have a catalytic effect on achieving all the SDGs. He also reiterated that these 6 transitions are key to driving transformative change at the country level. And one of these 6 transitions is jobs and social protection. So the understanding of the centrality of decent work and jobs is crucial. And these need to be integrated into economic and fiscal strategies as we go ahead. So that will be the first point. The second point is that the Doha summit needs to move from being a recommitment, which is important, but it must drive a shared global effort to rebuild the social foundations that have been destroyed or eroded under the weight of the multiple crises that we have had in the world. And the ILO's tripartite constituents have emphasized and reiterated the importance of the world of work being central to the outcome of Doha. During the 110th session of the International Labour Conference, a resolution was adopted to focus on a set of priorities for the summit. And interestingly, I was listening to all the inputs from Indonesia, Finland, UAE, Spain. All these are reflected in what the tripartite constituents, the member states, business, and of course the workers have set as priorities. And these include that we should strengthen the institutions of work. We must invest in people's capabilities to navigate digital, green, and demographic transitions, and ensure universal access to not only decent jobs, but social protection. Specifically, transitions from the informal to formal employment is prioritized. Expanding the care economy through public investment in quality care services and ensuring that care work is decent. Advancing gender equality in the labor market, including through equal pay, through access to leadership, but also safety from harassment and violence. Another area is ensuring that people are prepared, particularly young women and men, and systems are enhanced for digital and green transformations, including through skilling, through retraining, and other just transition measures. Also, reinforcing social dialogue and collective bargaining, not just as useful for navigating change, but it's also very important for building inclusive policies and resolving conflicts. The last and the third part, and I'll stop there, is ownership and follow-through will determine the summit's legacy. The ILO's governing body has called on member states to involve employers and workers' organizations in the national preparations, but also in the follow-up. At the level of the global, and the example from Brazil is quite instructive. In June last month, they had this National Conference on Employment and Decent Work, which brought all the parties, business, and the workers, and all the key stakeholders. At the global level, it is important, and this has been reiterated by the social partners, that employers, workers, and ministries of labor should be part of the process, especially in terms of the follow-up. The Global Coalition for Social Justice is positioned as a multi-stakeholder effort to support delivery and coordination. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, Doha must mark a turning point. Doha is a test for the credibility of multilateral cooperation, and we must deliver tangible progress for people whose lives remain marked by inequality, informality, and exclusion. Building on its engagement since the first summit, the ILO and its tripartite constituents, and I know some of the constituents are here in this room, will continue to partner with other stakeholders to ensure that we turn the commitments into tangible progress as we walk the road from New York to Doha. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more in-person input from Dr. Werner Obermeier, the director of the WHO office at the United Nations.
Thank you very much, moderator. Speaking after my sister Cynthia is a hard act to follow, but I'll try. Appreciation to the Director General of the Development Fund of Qatar and to the State of Qatar for all the support they have given WHO in Geneva and here in New York in our work. Let me start by saying those of you that attended the session on SDG 3 yesterday would have heard 4.5 billion people are still not covered by essential health services, and 2 billion people face financial hardship because they have to pay out of pocket for health care, and then they do not have the financial wherewithal to do so. But there has actually been a very positive trend. Despite the challenges posed by demographic shifts and economic challenges, 30% of countries expanded service coverage and financial protection for the poorest and most vulnerable in the last 5 years. So this shows that if you have political commitment, you can actually also translate it into budget decisions. Close to half of the world's population still lack any form of social protection benefit, which is damaging their health. Universal health coverage and universal social protection share the same objective of financial protection of households against healthcare cost and impoverishment. So finding the necessary fiscal space to move forward towards universal social protection and universal health coverage requires integrated solutions. One such example is perhaps a focus on healthy aging. Longer lives are one of humanity's greatest achievements, but we must ensure that people live and age in good health and well-being. And so addressing population aging is vital in the World Social Development Summit, as it ensures that social development is inclusive but also equitable. At the same time, addressing social connection and reducing loneliness and social isolation is also crucial because it promotes the social, physical, and mental well-being of people of all ages. Social isolation, as many of you will recall from the pandemic, have significant impacts on health, increasing the risk of chronic diseases in particular. I want to close by focusing a bit on the social determinants of health equity, which is a key thread running through the outcome document of WSSD. Widening gaps in health inequities undermine health and well-being in all countries. And those of you that attended the General Assembly President's high-level dialogue on health determinants on Friday last week would have heard more about the WHO report on on such social determinants of health equity, which we actually launched here. It focuses on universal public services such as child development, education and social protection, promoting equitable, healthy living, learning and working conditions, strengthening policies to address structural discrimination and determinants of conflict and forced migration, including racism and gender inequality, and ensures health equity considerations are prioritized in climate action but also in digital transition, which goes to show that health is a precondition, outcome, and indicator of sustainable development. I thank you.
Thanks very much, Dr. Obermeyer. We are going to have shortly a video message from Mr. Tomas Lamanauskas, who's the Deputy Secretary General of ITU, following up on your digital comments, I think, perhaps. But first, the Director General has asked for a few moments before we move into that next step.
Yeah, thank you very much, our moderator, and thank you for the panelists. It's amazing, outcomes of what you have stated. I just want to mention something very short. I think the expectations for Doha is big, and what we have discussed today is putting more pressure on us, to think of exactly what we need to do, to have a major outcomes. Today we've been discussing of what the outcome was of Seville. I was there, Again, there was a debate, people saying there was an outcomes, people saying, maybe again, reconnecting the commitment again. But I think the very important point that I would like to raise here, we talk a lot about job opportunities and how we can create this job opportunity. I think one of the major impact that we need to think about today is, first, we have a major challenge. The ODA have huge issues, of decreasing commitments from big countries. Billions of dollars have been gone out this year from the support, especially to say, that especially for the UN agencies. We know that, and NGOs and others, which is putting pressures, by the way, on the Gulf side. I'm sure UAE maybe could share with us this commitment. But from our side of Qatar, we reassure that this year we have tripled our budget, for the ODA's part. But we want to do it not in the traditional way. We need to think about differently. How can we rethink with you? I think one of the major things that we want to elaborate this time is to think about how can we utilize natural resources from each countries. Africa, Asia, they have huge natural resources, like what we have in the Gulf. They need to reinvent it, thinking about it. To create this job, this is where we could start. We can create millions of jobs, by utilizing the natural resources of these countries. Number two is really investing a lot in the technology. I think this is a key things now for the futures. And last point I want to say is how to strengthen on working with the private sectors and let's depend on the governments. I think this is a very major things that we look forward for the social summit. I think we are missing here on our round table the private sectors. We have one here only, sorry. But we need more, we need to see how the private sectors can play a big role here with us, and we need to depend more on them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Could we move on to the ITU video, please?
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to connect with you in preparing for the second World Summit for Social Development. The first one, held 30 years ago in Copenhagen, confronted the most urgent challenges of the time: poverty, unemployment, and social disintegration. Back then, digital technologies were barely a consideration. The internet was still in its infancy in 1995. Mobile connectivity was a great privilege, not a possibility for all. Discussions on artificial intelligence, quantum, or digital public infrastructure were confined to technical experts. Less than 1% of humanity was on the internet. Today, we live in a different world, one defined by digital transformation. Over 68% of the world's population is online. and 51% has 5G coverage. Technology now shapes every aspect of our economies, societies, and daily lives. And digital inclusion is no longer a secondary issue. It's a prerequisite for social justice and economic resilience everywhere. ITU, as the United Nations Agency for Digital Technologies, sees this moment as a turning point. The digital divide, the gap between those who benefit from digital technologies and those who don't, risks becoming the new face of inequality. An estimated 2.6 billion people are offline, disproportionately women, rural dwellers, and people in developing countries. But network coverage alone is not enough. Connectivity must be affordable, reliable, secure, and meaningful for everyone, everywhere. Our digital infrastructure investment catalyzer, launched together with UN Trade and Development, or UNCTAD, at the recent 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, aims to bridge the estimated $1.6 trillion investment gap for the hard infrastructure to connect everyone meaningfully by 2030. We're working with governments, industry, and civil society to mobilize resources and build the foundations for inclusive digital societies, from broadband infrastructure and digital skills to locally relevant content and public access. Our Partner to Connect Digital Coalition has mobilized over $75 billion worth of public and private commitments. Our commitment is to ensure that no one is left behind in the digital era. The May 2025 report from the International Labour Organization shows that 1 in 4 workers across the world are in occupation with some degree of exposure to generative AI. But most jobs will be transformed rather than made redundant. It is therefore key to help people to be prepared for the AI-driven future. Our AI Skills Coalition brings more than 50 partners together to help do exactly that. Our global initiative with WHO and WIPO is laying the foundations for technical standards to advance AI for health. Meanwhile, ITU, together with many partners, both within and outside the United Nations family, is building collaborations, enabling us to seize numerous opportunities and face the challenges of today. Our latest AI for Good Summit, just last week, brought together 54 UN agencies, together with more than 11,000 innovators, scientists, and policymakers from nearly 170 countries to harness artificial intelligence for people and planet. Let's remember, ultimately, technology is only a tool. A powerful tool, however, with a strong capacity to help us have better jobs, make us healthier, boost our education, and ultimately enhance lives of each and every one of us. Let us therefore work together to harness the power of technology for the more prosperous, resilient, and sustainable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one final input. There's a respondent, youth representative for the Ministry of Sports and Youth in Qatar, Mr. Mohammed Hamad Al-Manai.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and friends, at the outset, I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to Her Excellency Sheikh Aliya Ahmed bin Saif Al Thani, Permanent Representative of the State of Qatar to the United Nations, as well as the co-organizers of this important side event. I'm truly inspired by the theme chosen to this year's HLPF, Advancing Sustainable, Inclusive, Science and Evidence-Based Solutions for the 2030 Agenda. I'm even more energized by what lies ahead, the Second World Summit for Social Development to be hosted in Doha this coming November. As a representative of the young generation, I firmly believe that we are not merely beneficiaries of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. We are partners and the driving force behind their realization. In Qatar, youth are at the heart of our National Development Strategy, Vision 2030, which aims to build an inclusive, knowledge-based economy. We actively support international efforts to enhance youth participation in decision-making at all levels. Looking ahead to the Second World Summit for Social Development, allow me to offer a few proposals regarding its outcomes for youth and the younger generation. 1. Encourage governments, international organizations, and stakeholders to expand investment in comprehensive mental health systems, specifically tailored for youth. 2. Scale up access to digital technology and entrepreneurship skills, particularly for young people in the MENA region and beyond. Third, establish a youth innovation fund to empower young change makers, especially in countries of the Global South. Fourth, align global action within the UN Youth Agenda 2030 2.0 and ensure its localization through national development strategies and youth policies. On behalf of the youth of Qatar and in solidarity with young people across the world, I thank you for this opportunity. May the WSSD in Doha serve to elevate youths from participants to partners and from subjects to policy to co-authors of our shared future. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. At this point, I was supposed to open the floor to you, but I believe that we started a little late and we had a lot of speakers, and I think that we're going to have to wrap up because I know that people have other things to attend. So just want to thank you very much for attending, and thank you. I think you gave, I was going to give some closing comments, but I think yours were a good way to bring together some of the points that were raised. If I was just told that if people are willing to stay, we can take 5 minutes before presumably another group has to come in here. If there's anybody who really has something they would like to say, speak now. Please. And briefly, please.
So I'm the permanent representative to the UN for the International Organization of Employers. We represent some 150 different countries, 50 million companies. And we were a big partner at the last LDC5 conference in Qatar. And my sister Cynthia is absolutely right that we want to be engaged. Now, we are discussing with the Global Compact the potential of doing events, et cetera. But I want to raise a few issues. Decent work is probably the most critical part of this. I know we all think that there's lots of different issues, but let's face it, create a job, you feed a family. This is about dignity. So we feel very strongly that we need to be there. And one of the big issues is, and you're going to hear this, is about smart regulation. We need to deal with informality, ethical AI, and social protection. 90% of the jobs are created by the private sector in most developing countries. But what are these? These are SMEs in LDCs, women-run businesses. So if we really want to move the needle on all of this, we need action. One of the things that IOE is starting, and we will work on this in Qatar as well, is we're working on a business alliance around AI. Technology is the key, but also skills is absolutely critical for this. Now, there are some lessons learned from all these meetings that we do. Business needs to be in the room. We don't need to have business sort of, they need to do this. We need to be in the room, but I say this, not in a separate room. And that's what worries me a bit about these conferences. We do a business forum, and business is speaking to business. We need to be sitting down because at the end of the day, the solutions are working together with social dialogue. Governments also need to work with businesses on these regulations. And we are not moving as fast as we should. Private sector wants action, so count on us. We will be there, and we will make sure it's a success. Thank you.
Summit of the future, or rather, in order to achieve a successful future. However, my concern is about we have over 30% of where I came from, Nigeria, that we don't have access to social media. So how do we intend to bridge these gaps so that everybody will be carried along and no one will be left behind? I think that is a concern from many, from the people we also serve, the SET community. That's why I just feel like, okay, if it's something we could also look into in order to make sure that while we are addressing the situation in November in Qatar, we also put those people that are on the SET communities in our thought as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. My name is Ahmed and I represent a local organization from Africa. My question is, I'm happy for what I have heard here, but as the world have a lot of economy issues, our generations couldn't find it easy to be in the conferences. Not easy to be in Spain or here to US or going to Qatar or something. So I'm wondering if there is any programs or something to support youth from Global South, especially from Africa, to be in the conference, what they have to follow, what they have to do to can be supported to be there. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see if we can find someone to follow up on that. But I think now we're getting close to 10 minutes over, and I know people have other things. Thank you again so much. I think a lot of great points have been made. Thank you to our hosts. And now we have a lot of work to do. Let's do it.